Have you ever felt like something is just off in your relationship? Maybe it's the way she talks to you, the way she acts, or how distant she's become. Have you ever caught yourself wondering, is she still into me or is something else going on? Well, you might be right to question it. Relationships can feel like a roller coaster, and sometimes what seems like a minor issue is actually a major red flag. Today, we're diving into 10 signs that might mean she's already cheating on you. But before we get into it, I want you to do me a favor. Take a moment to like and subscribe to the channel. Trust me, this video could change everything about how you approach your love life. So hit that bell icon too so you don't miss any of our future content that could save you from heartache. Stick with me till the end because once you hear these signs, you'll never look at your relationship the same way again. Start with a real-world example. Imagine dining out with your girlfriend to enjoy the evening. After a hard day, you want quality time. She appears preoccupied as you recount your day. She checks her phone every few minutes and hastily puts it face down before you can see who's messaging. You try not to care, but it seems wrong. The next day it repeats. The next day. If you see these 10 indicators, she may be cheating. 1. She constantly talks about another guy. Ever been in a relationship where your spouse talks about another guy too much? It may seem unimportant at first. You know, she might just name her colleague, whom she's been working closely with, or an old friend who's helped her through bad times. You see a trend after a time. Constant mentions have replaced infrequent ones. I recall being in a relationship with someone who followed that pattern. You've been there, right? While eating dinner, she casually says, "Oh, John told me about this amazing restaurant last night. We should check it out sometime." Or, "Tom is so good with his kids. It's inspiring." You nod and smile to avoid appearing envious. But you wonder, why is she bringing him up so much? Over time, I felt like a bystander in my relationship. I wondered, why does she talk about him more than me? Time intensified the issue. She started talking about this other guy's thoughts, how he helped her make decisions, and how she really values his advice. It became evident that he wasn't simply an acquaintance. He was starting to influence her life. I'm not suggesting every mention of another person is a red sign, but when you hear about him more than yourself, pay attention. These words are a sign of a bigger issue. Her continuous reference of him shows that someone else is in her heart and thoughts. But how do you address this? Do you ignore it and hope it goes away or face it? For me, ignoring it was wrong. I discovered that the hard way. Pause and consider. Has this ever occurred to you? Did your partner's interests steadily change throughout your relationship? It feels like being in a relationship but invisible. Remember those times when just you and your lover mattered and felt like a team? Compare that to this. Do I really want to invest in a split relationship? Do she suddenly always working late? This one is personal for many. You know when your partner says she's working late again and has before? Maybe she's not using the same excuse anymore, but the work late excuse becomes routine. Start by telling yourself it's all right. She's busy. Eventually, the busy explanation feels like a cover-up. My girlfriend worked late, like very late. At first, it made no sense. She left around 6 p.m., saying, "I'll be back around 9. Just need to wrap up a few things at work." It became 10 p.m., 11 p.m., and even later. Maybe it was the job. Our relationship was chilly and distant when she came home. Her fatigue was emotional as well as physical. Not understood. Finally, it clicked. The excuse of work was holding us back, not the task itself. I didn't want to confess it then. How could I? Though she said it was work, I couldn't get the impression that something was off. You ever felt that way? Ever been with someone who needed to work late? When you asked her what she was doing, she said, "Oh, just some extra work that's piling up." But when you think about it, you never hear about the job, just the late nights and missing time. Using the work late excuse to avoid you seems like a cover-up. It may not always be true, but the consistency and inexplicable hours away from you start to suspect. She's emotionally and physically withdrawing. I'll tell you, it starts slowly but gradually. However, what can you do? You want to trust her? You shouldn't appear paranoid or controlling. You know deep inside. Sometimes it's how they act at home, or glance at their phone when you're seated next to them. Small things tell volumes even when they say nothing. Do you ever confront someone like this? Have you dared question, "Why are you working late every night?" Actually, what's happening? I understand how hard that is. I know it hurts like a gut hit. You deserve honesty, right? 3. She hides her phone like it's a secret vault. This hits hard. Do you notice how things change when your partner becomes phone protective? It seems harmless at first. While chilling, she texts someone and you check your messages, but suddenly, her phone use becomes much more covert. She exits the room to answer it or faces her screen down when you pass. You feel like an invader in your relationship. I remember a relationship when my partner's phone became a closed treasure box. It seemed unimportant at first. Everyone has privacy, right? But suddenly the tiny things piled up. She left her phone in another room and returned to a different mood. She often blushed or laughed awkwardly like she'd been caught doing something wrong. You know that feeling? When you suspect something is concealed, but don't want to be that guy who's insecure or paranoid, you know deep inside. When she locked her phone and changed the password, I understood it wasn't about privacy anymore. It was about secrets. More than anything, that stung. Have you ever felt betrayed when you find a loved one has grown aloof and secretive? Lack of confidence is the issue, not the phone. Hide things from each other forms a wall. As that wall rises, it becomes tougher to view your lover. Have you captured her in this moment? A phone too secure, a gaze too fast? Have you ever thought the locked screen had a deeper meaning? 4. The intimacy between you two disappears. Have you noticed how a new connection feels electric? You can't stop touching each other. Every moment is passionate and intimate. Imagine being in a bubble with each other against the world. When the bubble explodes, what happens? When the contact that once bonded you becomes uncommon, distant, and awkward? Just recently something happened to me. Everything appeared fine in my relationship of over a year. We were linked physically, emotionally, and psychologically. She wasn't as loving anymore, but I noticed it gradually. I initially felt I was paranoid. She may have been exhausted from work, or struggling with something I didn't know about. Day by day, everything became clear. We no longer wanted to stroll hand in hand, kiss on the cheek, or cuddle on the sofa. It felt like we went from a team to two persons living together. Maybe you've felt that? That emptiness when your lover no longer seeks you out. When intimacy isn't a priority and you think, what happened to the person I fell in love with? Both physical and emotional closeness existed. Conversations became surface level, and a wall seemed to form between us. I recall realizing I was in a relationship yet felt more alone than ever. Ever experienced a moment like that? When your partner becomes a stranger? When you seek connection and affection, but are treated with coldness? When was the last time you felt very connected to your partner? When was the last time you laughed spontaneously, or slept next to each other feeling connected? Losing closeness is hard. It hurts harder when you know someone else has come between you. Don't let a breakup define you. You may recover, go ahead, and re-establish that connection with someone who appreciates you for who you are and will embrace the closeness you both deserve. 5. Her social life is full without you in it. Consider how things were before. You were her top focus. You shared weekends, late-night discussions, and maybe even out with friends, making lasting memories. But gradually something changed. She planned without you. When asked about it, she'd reply, "Oh, it's just something I'm doing with my friends," or "I just need some space. I'll catch up with you later." You feel it, right? You wonder where you fit into her life. When she goes out with her pals for the third time in a week, I recall its impact in my last relationship. One weekend she wasn't around. Saturday I thought, great. We can do something enjoyable. Have a lovely meal, maybe watch a movie. She was busy again. "I'm going out with Sarah and Katie," she remarked, staring at her phone. "Make it up next week." Weeks passed with the same justifications. She was out with friends, working late, or visiting relatives. She stopped prioritizing me. Not only did she leave me, but she put space between us. Can you relate? Can you recall a relationship where you were progressively forgotten? Where you had to beg for attention while she lived? Her life with all these social engagements that never included you? I was first reluctant to confess it. Okay, she needs her space, I told myself. I sensed something was wrong, though. When I noticed that her pals knew all her plans before me, I realized she had discovered a new world without me. If you're feeling this, realize that you deserve priority. Someone should choose you first, not last. Putting her social life before you is an indication of a deeper issue. Maybe she's less involved. And you should ask yourself, is this the relationship I deserve? 6. She becomes suspicious and tracks your moves. Now this is hard. You've undoubtedly experienced it or watched someone else go through it. In your relationship, your spouse suddenly wants to know where you are. She may inquire, "Where were you? Who were you with?" You feel compelled to recount every moment of your day. Not only that, she starts monitoring your phone or never leaves it. Let me share a tale to illustrate. My ex became suspicious of everything I did. I found it adorable at first. She would text me, "What time are you coming home? Do you still have Mike?" At first I thought she's watching out for me. Later it became controlling. She checked my texts, social media, and persons I was with. After supper with a buddy, I came home to 15 texts asking, "Where were you? Who was with you? Why did you not notify me you were going out? No more worry." This was control. My relationship felt suffocating like a jail. Are you feeling that? The oppression of continual surveillance and questioning. Even when you're not doing anything wrong, it makes you feel bad. Not only is checking annoying, it also causes guilt. It's difficult to feel like you have to prove everything. Trust is the cornerstone of any relationship. When she doubts you, follows your every move, and questions everything you do, it's not love. It's control. That's unhealthy. I don't know where you are in your romantic relationship, but if your every action is being questioned, stand aside. Trust, not monitoring, should define your partnership. Do I want to stay in a relationship where I feel suspicious? 7, she says she's not happy anymore. Every relationship has a gut punch. When your spouse looks at you with annoyance or unhappiness and says, "I'm not happy anymore," it strikes harder than you think. Those words seem like a gradual rip in your heart, as if all you knew about your relationship ends suddenly. Let me recall hearing those words. I recall sitting in the car beneath a dim streetlight one evening after a routine day. She appeared distant at the purportedly relaxing dinner. We discussed life, plans, etc., but suddenly, out of nowhere, she said, "I don't know if I'm happy anymore." Heart plummeted. All around me seemed to freeze for a time. I felt like the floor had plummeted. "What do you say?" I kept reliving her remarks, wondering what gone wrong. Was it me? Was I missing something? Was there a sign I missed? Has someone you loved stated it to you thinking they were happy with you? Not knowing what happens after hearing the words is worse, feeling their sadness but not understanding how to cure it. However, partnerships have ups and downs, and individuals say things when confused or frustrated. It doesn't necessarily spell the end, but it's a big sign that something's wrong, and they're unhappy in the relationship. If you keep hearing these phrases, the universe may be asking you to change. No, you shouldn't neglect someone's sentiments. If you're continually hearing that your spouse is unhappy, you should ask yourself, is this relationship making me happy? Dissatisfaction is a signal, not a plea for attention. No matter how much you love someone, letting go may be best for both of you. It's all right if you've been in this situation, when someone informed you they're unhappy, and you didn't know how to reply. Take a break, consider what they said, and decide if continuing together is best for both of you. If you just split up, understand that mending takes time, but you'll survive. 8, she vanishes for hours without explanation. Nothing is more irritating than being entirely excluded. Relationships require communication. Couples should trust one another and share their lives. However, her hours-long disappearance without explanation is like a light going out. I'll never forget my first experience. We were discussing about meeting up for dinner, but she was growing farther away. Neither calls nor texts. I initially believed she was preoccupied. Time passed and the quiet grew stifling. I texted her once, twice, and countless times. No reply. I phoned. Still nothing. It was almost midnight when she responded. She nonchalantly answered, "Oh, I was just out with a friend. Sorry I didn't tell you." But that bothered me. The careless tone of her statement made it seem unimportant. I sensed trouble. Can you relate? Have you ever lost a lover and wondered why? When a loved one leaves for hours without explanation, it seems like you're invisible. You feel unimportant to them. I felt left behind. When this happened to me, I must admit it made me doubt everything. She dating someone else? Was I insufficient? Each of your million thoughts is worse than the previous. In case this is happening to you, remember that you are worth more than being in the dark. She will communicate if she values you. Transparency and never being ignored are your rights. If you're in that circumstance, ask yourself, am I being treated well? I understand if you've wondered where your spouse was and why they didn't prioritize you. The agony exists, but know this, you deserve someone who values you, keeps you informed, and makes you feel important. 9. Your personal stuff mysteriously goes missing. This one may seem harmless, but it's a major red sign. Have you ever lost something? Lost clothing, a book, or your treasured watch? When asked, they invariably say, "I haven't seen it." It's annoying, right? Crazy feelings set in. It went where? You lose it after knowing you had it. An incident like this made me doubt everything. One night, I searched for my favorite sweatshirt, which I wore often. I checked my closet and it was gone. First, I believed I lost it. I subsequently found several small items missing. Some of my books, shoes, and sentimental objects, not understanding what was occurring. Eventually, I discovered she was hiding them. She stole my goods and manipulated me with them. She used them in fights to guilt me or control our relationship. The circumstance hurt me. In addition to the lost items, she sought to influence and manipulate me with them. Did you ever feel that? Like your partner uses your stuff and space to manipulate you? This seems weird, but it's emotional manipulation. Her removing your belongings without asking, concealing them, or making you feel like you're losing things isn't just about the material. How she makes you feel. If you've been in a relationship where your partner's behaviors didn't make sense and made you question your value, you don't deserve to feel like you're walking on eggshells. Your space, belongings, and boundaries should always be respected. Trust your intuition if this is happening today. You can stand back and question, is this treatment I deserve? 10. You catch her in a suspicious or flirty moment. Catching your lover doing anything questionable makes everything feel out of control. When you enter a room, you can find her smiling too loudly at something a guy said or lingering on his arm. A gut instinct tells you something's wrong. I recall hanging out with her and some common pals. It felt like a usual night to relax, laugh, and enjoy company. However, I witnessed her laugh and smile directed toward a man across the room. Not even his jokes were humorous, but her gaze at him, not the normal smile. First, I attempted to ignore it. Maybe I was paranoid, but the more I thought about it, the more out of place it felt. Have you ever had that gut sensation when something doesn't seem right, but you can't pinpoint it? That was my feeling. However, if you regularly notice these moments, those suspicious, flirtatious looks, the laughing that feels too intimate, or the way she acts around someone else, it's not your imagination. Your gut tells you something is happening behind the scenes. Yes, it's hard. It hurts to realize someone you trust may not be faithful. Pause and consider your own experiences. Ever caught your lover in that moment? Maybe at a party or in an undisclosed text? That treachery hits you like a blow in the chest. It's more than flirting, it's realizing someone else is threatening your relationship, feeling replaced or disregarded by someone who should be yours. If betrayal hurts, I've been there. The pain, shaking, and doubts make you question everything. Love is not about clutching onto something slipping through your fingers. Building trust, respect, and security in each other's hearts. It's appropriate to acknowledge and act on such disruption. Take notice of red signs. Now recall your love tale. Have you ever felt inadequate? Like your boyfriend was ignoring you and you didn't know why? Have you experienced the agony of witnessing someone flirt with the person you thought you'd marry? I understand. The pain is genuine, but remember, it's not your fault. You shouldn't have to battle for attention or be suspicious in love. If that happens, take a step back, evaluate your value, and decide if this relationship is giving you the love and respect you deserve. How can I move on? Trust me, I've suffered betrayal. After discovering that my love was shared with someone else, I had to pull myself back together. It's hard. Indeed, it takes time. Remember, your value isn't based on others' actions. You deserve true love, loyalty, and someone who sees you as you are. If you're still hurting over an ex who flirted or lied, realize that mending takes time. Becoming patient with oneself is also necessary. It's all right to suffer and grieve, but don't let it define you. You're more than heartbreak. You are greater than others' acts. Someone will respect you as you deserve one day. If you've ever caught your spouse in a moment that seemed inappropriate or made you feel inadequate, let it be a wake-up call. Rely on instinct. Remember that you are worth more than second place. Conclusion. After noticing the indications, what would you do? These relationship red flags must be addressed. Fear or uncertainty shouldn't stop you from facing the truth. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.